So in the vise we've got an Ahrex PR370 60 bent streamer, and this is a 2.0. I quite like this hook because it's got quite a short shank on it. I do use quite a lot of the PR374s, and it's longer shank, as you can see there. But I actually, on this fly, I actually prefer this hook, although I would prefer the eye to be turned like the PR374. But, you know, maybe in the future that will happen. But it's, in terms of the way the fly swims, I just prefer that shorter shank on this larger one. This is the smallest in the size they do for this range. I can do a 4.0 and a 6.0 as well, and they're really heavy duty hooks. But this one's got plenty of strength in there for, you know, for big pike. Now I've already tied in the, I think it's a 5.5 or 5.2 tungsten bead in here. The wire is 50-pound Sakuma, 7-strand coated. Now I go heavy duty with wire because I know full well that my casting isn't the best, and I tend to hit the kayak or the boat a lot. So, you know, these big, you know, these heavy flies, they fly through the air and they will whack whatever's available around you. Hopefully not fishing rods, and I have done that in the past, but you know, you want to make sure that this bead stays on. So if you're using mono or something like that, it's going to probably come straight off after a few hits. So I'm erring on caution here and going heavy duty, and that adds a bit of extra weight as well. Now you'll see obviously that the weight is below the hook bend, and that really does help keeling. And it's not nothing new. I didn't invent this. This has been around for a good, you know, a good long time now. So the next stage is to tie in the flash tail. Now I'm using Hedron Flashabou standard, which I find limp, nice and limp, and you get a nice kick with it. Superior to the cheaper stuff that you buy on those big spools, which I find a little bit, you know, nicer, better quality. Although I do use both from time to time. So I'm just going to tie a, no, you don't need a large amount of flash. I see people using so much flash. You don't really need that much, in my opinion, but you know, each their own. I'm always trying to sort of come across so you less is more of lots of things. I think especially for big predator flies as well, you don't need that much material. So as you can see, I started tying that around the bend of the hook. That just helps prevent the flash fouling on the hook. But also another tip, is what I've shared before, is to add some liquid fusion to the flash fibres to keep them away from that hook. Right, next we need some bucktail. I'm going to tie this I want more of it on the underneath, the way you're looking at it, which is obviously the top, because this is a jig fly. Make sure you get some good coverage all the way around, and tie that down. So we're just going to tie some more bucktail. We're going to go about 5 to 6, 7 mil down. We're going to tie that on top, like so. Like that. And then we're going to come underneath and do the same, but we can use a shorter piece underneath. Now I'm selecting fibres nearer the tail for the underside now, because they've got less air in them. And the idea is I want more air on top of the fly and less underneath, and that aids keeling as well. So I'm trying to put all the materials in my favour to get the fly to swim how I want. So you have to think about these things. Okay, we'll tie that down. Now I'm going to take some Optional, purely optional. I'm just going to take a little bit of Polar Flash. I like to run a bit of Polar Flash through these flies. Not much. 5 or 6 strands, cut them in half, give them a taper, and then they're not the easiest things to tie, jig flies, I can tell you. They're awkward because you never really know which way you want to tie. I'm just gonna, there we go, looks good. We're going to add some yellow. If you've watched my videos or follow my Instagram, I do like a bit of yellow and orange in the fly. If you know the firecracker, then you'll know it well. So I'm just going to tie that in. Just had a bit of interest. Purely optional, this doesn't really add anything other than the coloration. Now I'm trying to, again, thinking about air and bucktail and how things are, how things should swim. Again, I'm choosing bucktail nearer the base because I want to make sure that we get as much air in the top of the fly. Now you could tie this jig in afterwards if you want, once you get to this stage, but it'll probably make things easier for you. There we go. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take some Nayat. I've already prepared some, and what I've done with the Nayat is blended it with Angelina Fibre. I'm going to come in underneath here, in front of that, tie over. I'm going to bend this back now, like so. Looks a bit untidy at the moment, but we're getting that. Ready to build the head now. Probably one of the most untidiest flies I've tied on video. I don't care. This is just to give you the idea. Right, there we go. So we're ready for a little bit of orange. We need a bit of orange in there. You don't need to, but it looks nice. Again, we're using Strung Fuzzy Fibre. I'm tying in a rush because I'm praying that my camera stays on. Right. Now to finish the head, we're going to use Nayat again. So this is a blend of tan and black with some peacock Angelina Fibre in here. I'm just making sure that's properly blended. It looks like it is. So I'm going to put a touch of glue down first because I have forgotten to glue between steps. I usually do, but because I'm distracted by cameras, I forgot to do it. Let's get that to blend past the hook. It doesn't foul too much, not on these ones. What I like to do is just come forward a bit now. I'm going to take a little bit with my needle, which I haven't cleaned. I'm just going to separate a bit of it out. Like so. Just going to tie that down. Get it right, Paul. Get it right. I'm all making a right mess of this. God. You'd think I'd only just started tying. Good job I don't take myself too seriously, eh? Right. So next, add a little bit of white to finish this off and just bury this as much as possible. Right, tie that down over the top. Now it's not going to completely bury it, as you can see on the original. It will show through, but that's no problem. Fish aren't going to say, "Oh, I'm not eating that," because that's an untidy fly. I tend to not eat because I just don't want to eat. Doesn't matter if they're in front of you. I'll bend this back now. And we're going to do the same for this bottom piece. Not the easiest fly to tie, because it's quite an awkward one. I'm just going to get my clip, just to help me out here. Now, wax is a godsend, it really is, especially when you're using GSP. So I advise you to invest in a couple of pounds or dollars and buy some wax. Now you want to build a dam in front of this now. I'll build it up. We want to force this Nayat back as much as we can. There we go. Looking good. I'm just going to finish. The tendency with these hooks is the thread does have a tendency, say that enough times, to ride up the bend here. Don't fret, it's going to be all right. Right, so that will look good once I've finished it off. It just looks a bit untidy at the moment. I'm not too worried about that. Right, so we're going to really coat this head with liquid Evostick Serious Glue, or you can use whatever you want. I'm not going to go into why I can't use other glues. That's boring. There you go. Now get your most favoritist needle, Spidey, and give that glue a good mix round and get it into the materials, because that helps fold those materials back. Especially the top. I got a feeling this one might cause me some trouble. We'll see. Still video? Yep. Right. So what we're going to do, it's looking good actually, it's looking alright this one. I think we did quite a good job. So I need to put some eyes on it. So I'm going to use, they're flat eyes, and I tend to only use flat eyes now. I've discovered that they're more durable than 3D eyes. I've known that for a long time, but finding the ones I liked has always been difficult, but I have found them. Good old China, where 99% of all materials come from, probably, allegedly. So let's put these on. These are 7mm. I'm not going to tell you where, but just go looking, you'll find them. One or two might have noticed that I tend to favour a slightly smaller eye than I used to. I don't know why that is, it's just, I guess, personal taste change over time. I don't know, it's weird, it just suddenly happened. Woke up one morning and thought, oh, I prefer a smaller eye. There we go. So, make sure they're straight. go and make a cup of coffee and come back and we'll finish this head off. And we're back. Right, this is dry now, or dryish. Now before we get the marker out and the rest of the glue out, we just need to get rid of these bits of fluff now. We're using a light here, so if you're under 40, make sure you ask mummy and daddy, or mummy and mummy, or daddy and daddy first. Oh god, it's been a long time. Right, here we go. So I'm going to just got a normal black marker, can be anything. This is a no brand. But if any marker brands want to sponsor me, ooh, I'll be willing to accept. I get free markers. There you go. That looks good. Next is we're going to be using Gorilla Glue crystal clear even. I usually do this by hand, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm a little bit messy, but I might as well carry on being messy. So I'm just going to give good coverage of Gorilla crystal clear all the way around. Now what you will need for this is a dryer, because I don't think you're going to be spinning this vise for 20 minutes while it sets. We can do that if you want to, but I would recommend that you buy a dryer. They're not very expensive, or make one. Make one like I'm going to do very soon when I get around to it. So I'm just making sure I've got good coverage over the eyes and over the front. So it looks sort of like that. I think that's pretty good. So what I'm going to do with that now is I'm going to take it out and I'm going to put it in my dryer and turn it on and leave that for half an hour to spin round. So that was it. Thanks for watching. Sorry it's been so long, but I have filmed a few videos actually, some shorter ones in collaboration with well-known hook companies, so hopefully you'll see those soon on the channel, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheerio.